All right, welcome everybody to Unknown Room episode 4. Today I'm joined by Randy Brown. Randy, what's going on, man?
Oh, what's up? What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. This is an exciting one. Usually I don't really, express my appreciation for a fighter, but you're one of the guys that I've been looking forward to talking to for a long time. Is like one of my favorite fighters on the roster right now. So this is kind of a cool moment for me right now.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the love.
All right, and everyone knows you're going to be taking on Bryan Barberena June 22nd on that UFC ESPN Plus 12 card. But
Mhm.
in the beginning, I want to start off by asking you just some questions that I've always wanted to ask you coming from a fan. And I mean, everyone knows right now that you're Jamaican, and I think the Jamaican culture is like it's like really progressive. It's like it's on the rise right now as far as like music and everything like that. Like it seems like a lot of cultures right now are absorbing the Jamaican lifestyle. So I just wanted to run down. What's your favorite part of the culture in Jamaica? What's some of the food that you enjoy the most right now? And when you were younger, did you have any Jamaican athletes that you looked up to that really inspired you to maybe either do what you are doing right now today, or just inspired you to become an athlete in general?
Well, wow. All right. So I am Jamaican. Growing up in Jamaica, it's it was fun. I could say that. I had a good time. I'm always telling my girlfriend, about the way we grew up and the foods and just how it was. And I would never trade my childhood for anything. Um, but yeah, I looked up to guys like Usain Bolt because I wanted to run track. I never thought I'd be fighting, and never thought I'd be fighting at all in like a million years. We all run track as kids going to primary school. You know, um, and we all just thought we were gonna be runners. Everybody, it's just the thing. That's what we do. And turned out that I just ended up fighting, man. I don't know. I just ended up wanting to punch people. So here I am today.
And what are some of those Jamaican foods that you would list for people that maybe never had Jamaican food in their life? I don't know why they wouldn't, but what's some go-to things that you would recommend for them to get started in that area?
Go to well, our national dish is ackee and saltfish. You know what I mean? So try some ackee and saltfish with cornmeal dumpling and banana and yams and all that. But I give you a little secret. Instead of the yam and all that, make the ackee and saltfish with rice and peas. Try it with rice and peas. You'd be shocked.
All right, y'all. You guys heard it straight from Randy himself. And your popularity stems from the Dana White's looking for a fight. And I know a lot of people, there's Sage, there's Mickey Gall, there's a class of people that really made their name for themselves later in the UFC. Um, but my question to you is, what was the process of actually getting on looking for a fight?
Um, it wasn't necessarily a process. It was kind of like Dana was gonna be there. The whole thing was we knew Dana White was gonna be there, and he's coming. He brought the show, and he was gonna look for a guy to pick to bring to the UFC. And my thing that I've always said, and I continue to say, is okay, I know he's gonna be there, but I didn't put it on my shoulders and say, oh, I have to show up, I have to impress him. I just kind of just went and did what I did what I do. And if you do what you do, so I always tell myself, you do what you do, you're gonna get noticed. Because I'm a finisher. So got to finish and I got noticed.
And I mean, clearly it worked because here we are today, and you've got a fight coming up pretty soon against a contender that many people say, is hard to put away. And we'll get into that later. But first, let's get into the nicknames you have because, I mean, everyone knows that the Rude Boy nickname ties into the Jamaican heritage. But where did Touch and Go come from?
Touch and go. Touch and go is when I'm always moving around in the gym. Like when I'm in the gym and sparring, I've always looked up to guys like I'm long, I'm 6'3", and I have no business trying to fight like Roy Jones. But Roy Jones is one of my favorites. I looked up to boxers like that. I just always looked up to the science, people that understand angles, not just the brute force of moving forward and back and just wanting to throw bombs. I can appreciate the toughness in a fighter, but I love fight IQ. I like to see guys who can be slick, who understands the science on a higher level than just punching and kicking. You know what I mean? So I was always in that guy in the gym. I was always that guy in the gym. Even moving around. Even before I knew what the hell I was doing, I always was just bouncy, super bouncy. I had these long legs. I'm always bouncing around, moving. I don't want to get hit, but I want to hit you. And as I developed, people just started calling this guy. He always trying to touch you and run. Touch and go. So they call me touch and go. So everybody it just stuck. And everybody in the gym, touch and go. Brain shaker, all type of things.
And that ties perfectly into my next question, because I was gonna ask you, like, the way that you fight is not. It's not common. Like if you look at your wins throughout the entirety of your career, you have different chokes, you have arm bars, you have punches, you have knees, you have TKOs, you have KOs. It's like, when you train for opponents, are you training for that specific guy, or are you just polishing up the well-roundedness of your skill? Because clearly you can get it done in many different ways.
For the most part, I'm trying to develop myself and become the best that I can be. I know that was a cliche ass answer, but it is what it is. I honestly am just trying to be better than I was yesterday. That's my goal every time I get in the gym. And, I want to be the best in the world. I know what I'm capable of, so I kind of just work on everything and trying to be the best at everything. But when we do have an opponent, we break them down, we look at them, we sit with the team, and we just dissect them, and then we just see where their openings are, and we just exploit them. That's pretty much it. But overall, I'm looking to develop. I'm dangerous everywhere, man. I'm well-rounded.
And speaking of that next opponent, Bryan Barberena, did you see that fight against Vicente Luque? And do you think that damage that he took in that fight will carry over to this? I mean, it was only 3 months ago, so if he has any, wear from that fight, do you think that applies here? And what do you think it takes to put a guy like that away?
Well, guys that fight like that, they only know one way. They only know one way, and it's admirable, but I also believe it's mistaken. Coming forward like that, that high pace, high pressure type of style only means one thing, is that you're accessible and you're very hittable. And he's durable, but durability only lasts for so long. If it does get carried over, it may not be this fight, it may not be the next fight, but definitely stuff like that catches up with you. But again, I'm not looking to go in there and try to, give him everything at one go, because I've noticed, guys, he's so accessible and so unassuming that guys they shoot their load trying to get him out of there, and then next thing you know, he's beating on you because you're tired. So for me, I'm just looking in there, just go in there and just flow and do what I do. You know what I mean? Touch and go, baby. Touch him up. That's
what I was gonna say. The touch and go philosophy probably applies. Another thing people don't actually notice is, like, even though you're so young, you're actually an 8-fight UFC veteran. Like, what does that feel like? Do you subscribe to the idea that, like, people that have had that much time in the octagon have an advantage?
Yes and no. Yes and no. My first year, my rookie year, I had 6 fights in a span of 13 months. You know what I mean? The only other person to do something like that was Stylebender. That does help you, but at the same time, it's kind of like you don't get a chance to develop, So, but they gave me some time off. I took some time off after that year, and I got time to work on my skill building, and I'm all, like I said, I'm big on progress. I'm big on not being the same way I was yesterday. So, I'm just moving forward and trying to grow. So I think the time off helped me, and also that crunch time in that first year also helped me a lot, So I think it does help, being a vet, having that many fights. I think it does help, but I think it also, you need to spread them out. The way, if you crunch them all in, you don't really have time to develop. But if you spread them out, you definitely is an advantage for the guys who don't have as much fights.
And do you think that Barberena is either like your most high profile fight today so far, or would you document him as being one of your toughest challenges going ahead?
I'd say I'd say Mickey was a more high profile because of the hype. Um, but this guy is also very high profile, and he's more of a bigger challenge. He's probably the biggest challenge of my career to date. You know, yeah, I would definitely think he's the biggest challenge. So I just got to go and I got to take him as seriously as possible. You know, even though he's dad bod, Mr. Dad bod, I still got to take him serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just wild how time works and how matchups work because um I know like in the past you were a guy that I'm not saying you were ever calling out Sage or really looking for that fight, but I know that that was a fight that you wanted to take just for the fact of beating both of the guys that were on the show and really being the looking for a fight guy. And then
Yeah.
Barberena, he kind of shocked the world when he beat Sage. So do you like still feel like, maybe this has something to do with that a little bit or not so much? Are you just like looking forward now today?
I'm always looking forward, man. I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to just the next challenge, and obviously my goal is to become, the best in the world. My goal is to get that belt. My goal is to be top 5 in the division. Um, fighting Sage, I did want that in the past, and maybe who knows down the line, maybe we'll see each other again. He's a talented guy. I'm sure he'll be back. Um, but I called out Bob Barberena. I called him out years ago, and I think that this is some things are just destined, man. Some things are just destined. I had two other opponents prior to this fight that didn't happen. Everything happens for a reason, and now we're seeing each other. So, in I believe in destiny. So maybe we're just meant to see each other. So
And with a win over Barberena, where do you think that takes you? Because welterweight right now is kind of crazy.
it puts me in the mix. Even though it may not rank me, may or may not. Who knows? Maybe top 15. Who knows? But I don't know. I don't know. It puts me in the mix though because of his popularity right now, because of the crazy fight he had with Vicente. But styles make fights too, so you know.
And like, mentioning that welterweight division is crazy. If you like just look at the division, the entire division right now, and you're counting people's fights that are right before they got to the UFC, or you're counting their UFC fights, there's 15 different welterweights on the roster right now that all are riding 3-fight win streaks. I don't even think people notice that. Just from either coming up into the UFC on that streak, or they're in the UFC with that streak. Do you ever think that maybe the welterweight division is too crowded? And if they were to ever open up 165, is that one of the ones that you would go to, or do you think you're too big for that?
Um, yeah, I'd do 165. I definitely do 165, no problem. And I didn't know that there were so many people riding riding 3-fight win streaks right now. I didn't know that.
It's nuts. It's insane.
Man, that's crazy. Um, yeah, but you know what? Again, where they from? That's another thing. Where you from? Where you fighting? You know what I mean? Like that all plays into it. I think like when you come into the UFC is different. You know what I mean? You could be fighting somewhere in the middle of America. You could have a 10-fight win streak. You know what I mean? And then you come to the UFC, you fight a dude on a 3-fight losing streak and get your ass kicked. So you know how that goes.
And okay, so now now that we're done with the Barberina questions, let's get into a few other questions that I have for you, because I know that you mentioned that you never thought that you would see yourself in MMA. And in previous interviews, I know that you mentioned that your initial career path was boxing.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't go into Henzo's that day and discover jiu-jitsu and MMA, do you think you'd be boxing right now? And in your training, have you ever sparred any of the high level boxing stars that we see today?
100%, I would be boxing. absolutely, without a doubt, I'll be boxing right now. And for sure, we got a lot of guys in New York, that are top dogs that we get a chance to spar with, or work with. So, and I do very well. I do very, very well, So, yeah, and who knows? Maybe in the future, still boxing is still something on the table that I'd like to pursue.
Do you did you watch the when Mayweather fought McGregor? And I know back then around that time, a lot of people were speculating to have like a boxing and MMA crossover. Was that something that you were throwing your name in the hat for, or was that just talk?
That was just talk at the moment, you know what I mean? And for me, I'm a realist, man. I can be honest. Like when we're talking about McGregor Mayweather, you know what I mean? My name is nowhere in the mix. When we're talking about the type of level of stars in the sport, you know what I mean? At least not yet. So I didn't even think about it, but I was just thinking if Zuffa does something, Zuffa boxing, I've noticed Dana been making some kind of undercover moves. I've noticed him moving with the Zuffa boxing thing. For sure, if the UFC ever decides to open a boxing chain, and I'm down for that. I'm down to box up some of these boys in the division, whether it be in the division or or just a whole new boxing organization. I'm down for that.
Yeah, there's pictures still float around today, so it's like sometimes you catch Dana wearing the Zuffa boxing shirts, or like you see him still talking about it. The talk is not as loud as it used to be at one point, but it still seems like it's something that's working in the background. So that would be pretty interesting to see whether they plan on doing crossover events or like open up their own promotion. But I also want to ask you. So I was scrolling through your Instagram the other day, and I seen that you were riding horses, and I was like, my first question was,
Coco.
it's Coco's appearance on the show. My first question was, what was that experience like riding those horses? Where was it at? Is that something that you're into? Is that something that you do frequently? Was it just like one-time thing?
No, just I was in Jamaica. Me and my girl went to Jamaica, and I just took a horse riding. Sometimes whenever I'm out there, we go to this. They have like this ranch. We drive out there and we just go ride some horses. Nothing crazy. Nothing deep. Yeah, we just went and ride some horses. That's it.
I was wondering. I was like, is Randy Brown like also some like equestrian on the side or something like that we don't know about? This guy.
I am into nature though, big time. If you know me personally, a lot of people don't know, but I'm huge into nature and into animals and all that. I'm like I walk around barefoot. Yeah, I mean I'm like. I'm that guy. I'm that weird dude when it comes to that kind of stuff. When I was a kid, when I was in Jamaica, I had like a bunch of dogs. I had like a little dog pack walking around with me. I was weird. It's weird as fuck.
When did you just discover that the whole nature thing? Is that like something that you still like put out there outside of fighting?
I mean, outside of fighting, yeah, but it's not something I'm like in your face with. You know what I mean? It's like if you know, you know. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, and it's very unassuming until you actually like hang out with me. Like when we go out or whenever I go like out of the country, I'm not all my friends, they want to party, they want to go here. Me, I'm just trying to go see some exotic animals. I'm just trying to go be in the forest. I'm that guy. I'm always trying to go on some type of adventure or something.
So do you go to like animal sanctuaries and stuff like that, or?
Nope, not yet.
Not yet.
I want to.
So I have a feeling like if you ever get like a performance bonus or something, maybe one day you'll probably go to like an animal sanctuary or something like that.
Probably.
All right, and let's get into our last group of questions. These are some this or that questions that have been sent in by the fans. These questions are ridiculous. There's only 3 of them, but we're going to ask you to close this out. So the first this or that question is, if you had a choice to either fight, you have to wear your fight kit outside every time you leave the house, or you have to fight the rest of your MMA career in a pair of jeans, which one would you pick?
Damn, that's weird as hell.
Yeah.
Who came up with that?
I'm not going to put their ad out there.
I think I'm going to just wear my fight kit every day. I wear my fight kit every day because I need some leg room, you know. When I fight, my pants are tight, bro.
And the next question we got is, would you, if you had this or that, would you rather read your opponent's mind before and during every fight, or have them be unable to prepare for you in a fight camp? Which one would you choose?
To be on their mind, or have them be unable to prepare for me?
Yeah, like being able to not be able to prepare for your style at all, no matter what they try to do. Would you rather have that, or would you be able to read your opponent's mind during the fight?
Oh, I'd want to read his mind. If he prepares as well as he can, and he's like as long as I know every step that he's gonna do before he does it, then I win anyway.
And with the touch and go name, yeah, the reaction time's quick, so I'm sure you wouldn't have to process too much. And then with the last question we got to round out the interview, would you rather have 8 different judges that are judging at the same time so that no fight ever ends in a draw, or would you rather make every fight 5 rounds when both fighters are ranked higher than 5th?
I'd rather the 8 judges. Definitely rather the 8 judges.
And you're a finisher too, so you're probably not really a big decision guy. If you look at your career, you're a finisher for sure.
Yeah, we get them out of there. They put them in there, we get them out. So that's what we're looking to do. June 22nd as well. So
June 22nd, Bryan Barberena might join the good old chop shop, as you used to call it.
Chop session. Oh,
yeah.
So you a fan?
We know. We know what's going on. We know what's going on.
My guy. I appreciate it.
All right, man. So before we get out of here, is there anybody you'd like to thank? Sponsors, fans, friends, or whoever?
It's my family. You know, my family and friends. Sponsorships, Everlast. Teammates, Budokan Martial Arts, Henzo Gracie Academy, Belmore Kickboxing, and my little guy right here. He came to visit me. Say hi.
Hey, what's up, man? Made a nice appearance.
So yeah, man. You know, just everybody. You know, everybody that supports me. You know, everyone that helps me out. That's it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Randy Brown. Thank you, Randy, for doing this interview. Good luck, June 22nd.
All right, no problem, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers. Shocked if this fight went the distance.
Unknown MMA. Everything you don't know about MMA.